It's 3 a.m. The city is asleep, but one man, Alex, is wide awake, staring at a wall, feeling trapped. His life is a loop. Wake up tired, go to a job he dislikes, scroll on his phone, and repeat. He's not living. He's just existing. That night, something breaks. He whispers, "Why am I still stuck?" The only answer is silence. He randomly plays a video. A calm voice says, "Your life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by change." The words hit him hard. He realizes he's been waiting for a miracle, for someone to save him. But no one is coming. He looks in the mirror at his tired reflection and says, "Enough." He grabs a notebook and writes, "6 months from now, a new me." He creates a simple plan to change his habits, his mindset, his life. No more excuses. As the sun rises, a new hope dawns within him. He doesn't know what the future holds, but he knows one thing for sure. Today is the day his transformation begins. The next morning felt different. Same city noise, same sunlight filtering through the window of his small apartment, but inside Alex, something had shifted. He woke up earlier than usual, and for the first time in months, he didn't hit the snooze button. His gaze fell on the notebook on his table, the one from last night. On the first page, the words were bold and clear. 6 months from now, a new me. He read it again and again. It was like a quiet fire had been lit inside him, a surge of energy he hadn't felt in a long time. He sat down and whispered to himself. This time, no talking, only action. He recalled one of Jim Rohn's lessons. If you want things to change, you have to change. So he started small, right then and there. He sketched out a simple 6-month plan. Month 1, build discipline. Month 2, focus on learning. Month 3, build confidence. Month 4, face fears. Month 5, create something new. And finally, month 6, reflect and grow. It wasn't perfect, but it was his. He decided to focus only on the next 24 hours, one day at a time. He made a promise to himself. No matter what happens, I'll do one thing every day that makes me better. At work, nothing had changed. Same boss, same pressure, same boring meetings. But Alex's mindset was different. He started observing the people around him, who worked hard, who complained, who blamed others for their problems. And he had a startling realization. For years, he had been one of the complainers. He felt a pang of embarrassment, but it was quickly replaced by gratitude, because now he knew he could change. During his lunch break, he sat alone and wrote in his notebook, "Stop blaming, start acting. Every small step counts." That night, instead of scrolling through random videos, he put on another Jim Rohn talk. Jim's voice filled the room. Discipline is the foundation of success. Alex paused the video and wrote in big, bold letters, "Discipline over motivation." He finally understood something powerful. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. But discipline is what carries you through. The next few days were tough. He forced himself to wake up early, read for 30 minutes, and start exercising again. At first, his body ached. His mind screamed at him, "Just skip today. You can start again tomorrow." But he didn't listen. He pushed through, tracking his new habits on a small calendar. Each day he followed his plan, he put a check mark. It felt surprisingly good, like winning a small battle every single day. One night he was exhausted. He was ready to give up. His eyes were heavy and his back hurt. But then he remembered another of Jim's quotes. "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." A small smile formed on Alex's face. He whispered, "Yes, I want to be better." Weeks passed, and the people around him started to notice a small change. He seemed more focused, spoke less, and smiled more. He wasn't loud about his goals anymore. He was quiet but visibly stronger. One of his friends asked him, "Alex, you seem different these days. What happened?" Alex replied with a calm smile, "Nothing happened to me. I just decided to happen to life." The word surprised even himself. For the first time, he realized he was actually becoming a different person. Every night before sleeping, Alex would open his notebook to that first page. 6 months from now, a new me. It was his anchor, his reminder of why he started. He had no idea if the coming months would be easier or harder. But one thing was certain: he was finally in control. He wasn't waiting for a burst of motivation anymore. He was building habits. He wasn't blaming anyone. He was taking responsibility. And that one simple decision, the choice to change, had already begun to transform his life. If this story resonates with you, remember that your journey starts with a single step. Thanks for watching. Alex's plan had officially begun. He thought it would be a walk in the park, wake up early, stay focused, stay positive. But real life, as it always does, had other ideas. Every single day was a test. The alarm would blare at 5 a.m., and he'd just stare at the ceiling, feeling the heavy pull of sleep. His mind would whisper, "Just 5 more minutes. What's the harm?" But this time another voice, a stronger one, cut through the noise. "No, get up." And he did. It wasn't a burst of motivation that got him out of bed, it was discipline. In the beginning, Alex was convinced motivation was the secret sauce. He binged on motivational videos, read endless quotes, and listened to powerful speeches. For a few glorious minutes, he'd feel invincible. But that feeling was fleeting. One evening, after a particularly draining day at work, he sat on his bed and had a revelation. Motivation, he said to himself, is like a firework. It's a brilliant flash, but it burns out fast. I need something that lasts. That he says when he remembered a quote from Jim Rohn. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Those words stuck with him, becoming his daily mantra. Every morning he made a simple list of just 3 things: wake up early, exercise for 20 minutes, read or learn something new. Sounds easy, right? But following through, day in and day out, was the real challenge. There were days his body ached, days he was frustrated or just plain sad, days when his mind pleaded, "Just skip it today. No one will know." But he knew. He would know. So, even when no one was watching, Alex kept going. He worked quietly, without seeking applause. He even started applying this principle at work. When his colleagues complained, he stayed silent and focused on his tasks. While others took long breaks, he diligently finished his work. It wasn't long before his boss noticed the shift. "Alex," he asked, "what's different about you these days?" Alex just smiled and replied, "Just trying to be a little better than I was yesterday." This wasn't arrogance, it was genuine growth. By the end of that first month, Alex could feel the small but significant results. He wasn't perfect, but he was proud. His body felt stronger, his mind was calmer, and his focus was sharper than ever. But then came the ultimate test. One rainy morning, disaster struck. He overslept, missed his workout, arrived late to the office, and then, to top it all off, spilled coffee all over his shirt. Everything that could go wrong did. For a moment, he felt the old frustrated version of himself creeping back, ready to throw in the towel. He just sat at his desk, staring blankly at the wall. Then, he pulled out his notebook and his eyes fell on the line he'd written weeks ago. "Discipline over motivation," he whispered to himself. "This one bad day doesn't define me." And just like that, the power was back. He cleaned his shirt, focused, finished his work, and went home with a clear mind. That night, instead of crashing early, he opened his notebook again. He wrote, "Discipline means doing it even when I don't feel like it. Motivation starts the journey, but discipline keeps it alive." He smiled as he closed the notebook. The next morning, he was right back on track, stronger, calmer, and more focused than before. Weeks turned into a month, and the alarm still rang. The tasks were still simple. But now, they had a profound meaning. Alex finally understood that success isn't one big, glamorous moment. It's 1,000 small, unseen moments of discipline. He was no longer chasing dramatic results. He was building sustainable habits. And those habits were quietly but powerfully transforming his life from the inside out. Every time he felt the temptation to quit, he'd remind himself, "Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays forever." As the first month ended, he didn't need to say it anymore. His actions were speaking for him. 2 months had passed since Alex started his 6-month success plan. He was proud of himself. Waking up early, daily reading, exercising, and working hard were no longer goals. They were his routine. But soon, the initial spark began to fade. The once exciting schedule now felt like a heavy chain. Every morning was a carbon copy of the last. The loud roar of motivation had quieted to a faint whisper. One evening, walking home from work, a thought echoed in his mind. Am I really changing, or am I just stuck in a loop? The next morning, for the first time in weeks, he woke up late. A wave of laziness washed over him. Maybe I should just rest today, he muttered. But another voice, quieter yet firmer, whispered back, one day of rest can easily become 1 week of regret. He dragged himself out of bed, stretched, and forced himself to start the day. But something was missing, the energy, the drive. It just wasn't there. He sat at his desk, opened his notebook, and stared at the line he'd written. Discipline over motivation. He picked up his pen and added a new line just below it. Consistency is stronger than intensity. It was a moment of clarity. Alex realized that success isn't about one heroic burst of effort. It's about the quiet, relentless act of showing up every single day, especially on the days you don't want to. As he entered the 3rd month, life decided to up the difficulty. His workload doubled, his friends started mocking his self-improvement project, and his social life began to wither. Come on, man, one friend teased. You're way too serious these days, just chill out. Alex simply smiled and replied, I'm not running away from fun, I'm running toward my future. They laughed, but their laughter didn't faze him. He knew his path was his own. At work he faced mounting pressure, long hours, and the sting of failure. But instead of complaining, he remained calm. Every mistake became a lesson. He remembered the words of Jim Rohn. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And so, he focused on getting better. One habit, one choice, one day at a time. Late at night, when his body ached with exhaustion, he'd stand before the mirror and tell his reflection, stay consistent even when no one is watching. The results will come. And they did. Weeks rolled into months. Alex's body grew stronger. His focus became laser sharp and his confidence soared. He no longer needed to watch motivation videos. His own progress was all the fuel he required. One afternoon, while cleaning his room, he found an old photo of himself. Tired eyes, messy hair, a face devoid of spark. He looked at the photo, then back at his reflection, and smiled. That was me, he said softly, but not anymore. He felt a surge of pride, but also a deep understanding that this was just the beginning. Then life threw its biggest test yet. A major project he had poured his soul into failed. His boss was furious. All his effort felt like it had gone up in smoke. That night, sitting alone in the quiet of his apartment, defeat felt absolute. Maybe this is all for nothing, he thought, but then his gaze fell upon his notebook. He opened it to the very first page, to the first line he had written months ago. 6 months from now, a new me. Tears welled in his eyes. He whispered to himself, I made a promise, I can't stop now. He took a deep, shuddering breath and said with renewed firmness, I'll start again tomorrow. The next morning he was up before the sun, ready to try again. He finally understood. Success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about refusing to quit. His consistency had already rebuilt him from the inside out. He wasn't just working hard. He was becoming stronger, wiser, and unbreakable. As he watched the sunrise paint the sky, he smiled. Maybe results take time, but I'm not stopping until I find them. Have you ever felt like you were finally getting your life together, only to have the rug pulled out from under you? For Alex, everything seemed perfect. 3 months of pure discipline and consistency had forged a new man. He was confident, strong, focused. His mornings were filled with energy, his evenings with gratitude. But life has a funny way of testing those who dare to grow. One cold Monday morning, Alex walked into his office, same as any other day. But this day was different. The atmosphere was heavy. His boss called him in and uttered the words he never thought he'd hear. Alex, I'm sorry. The company is cutting costs. We have to let you go. For a moment, Alex's world went silent, his mind froze. Let me go? He whispered, disbelief in his voice. His boss just nodded sadly. You've been great, but my hands are tied. Alex packed his desk in a daze. No grand goodbye, no outburst of anger, just a profound silence. As he stepped outside, the cold wind hit his face and it felt like the entire world had just stopped spinning. That night he sat on his bed, staring at the very notebook that had been his source of hope. He opened it, but the pages remained blank. His eyes were empty. He whispered into the darkness, "Why now? I was finally doing everything right." For hours he was trapped in his own thoughts. The familiar, insidious voice of doubt began to creep back in. Maybe you were never meant to succeed. You wasted all that effort for nothing. The old Alex, the one who was weak and hopeless, was knocking on the door of his mind, trying to reclaim his territory. But then, his gaze fell upon a single line in his notebook, a sentence he'd written on the very first day of his journey. Pain is temporary. Quitting is forever. He read it once, then again, and again. With each repetition, his heartbeat grew stronger, steadier. He realized this wasn't the end. This was a test, perhaps the biggest one yet. He stood up, looked his reflection dead in the eye, and declared, "I didn't come this far only to come this far." He decided right then and there to face this setback like a warrior. The next morning, there was no sleeping in, no wallowing in self-pity. He stuck to his routine. He exercised, he read, and he opened his journal. This time he wrote, "I lost my job, but I will not lose myself." He immediately started sending out resumes, searching for freelance work, and devouring new skills online. He chose to use his newfound free time to grow, not to complain. The first few days were brutal. Rejection after rejection came flooding in. But with each no, he grew tougher. He remembered a powerful lesson from Jim Rohn. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for more skills. So, Alex went to work on himself. He dove into communication, public speaking, and time management. He invested hours in self-improvement while others might have wasted that time feeling sorry for him. Weeks turned into a month. Slowly, but surely, small opportunities began to surface. A part-time project here, a small client there. It wasn't a six-figure salary, but it was something far more valuable. It was hope. He started believing again, not in luck, but in his own ability to create his reality. One night, while writing in his journal, a genuine smile spread across his face. He wrote, "Maybe losing my job wasn't a punishment. Maybe it was preparation." He finally understood that the setback hadn't broken him. It had built him. 6 months earlier, this would have been the end of the road for Alex. But this Alex was different. He knew that failure isn't the final destination. It's a stress test for the strength of your dreams. As he drifted off to sleep, he whispered to himself, "Life can take everything from me, but it can't take my will to rise." And that night he slept with a profound peace in his heart, knowing with absolute certainty that something great was waiting for him just around the corner. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Losing his job was the hardest thing Alex had ever faced. But instead of giving up, he remembered a promise he made to himself: to follow his 6-month success plan, no matter what. So, he made a decision. If life took away his job, he would use that time to build himself. Every morning he woke up early, exercised, and studied topics he had always ignored: communication, leadership, and self-discipline. He started sharing his journey online. At first, no one noticed, but he kept going. Then, one comment changed everything. "Your words inspired me to start again, thank you." Slowly, small opportunities appeared. A freelance project, then a request to train a team on productivity. Alex realized he wasn't just surviving, he was creating value. His pain was turning into a purpose. He discovered that the comeback is always stronger than the setback. He may have lost his job, but he found his mission. 6 months. 6 months had passed since Alex first wrote those words on a fresh page. 6 months from now, a new me. He looked at the calendar on his wall, a tapestry of check marks. Each mark was a silent witness to his journey, a story of early mornings and quiet nights, of failures and restarts, of pain and undeniable growth. He stood by his window, just as he did on that very first day. The world outside was the same, the familiar hum of cars, the distant city skyline, people rushing to their destinations. But Alex was not the same man. A smile spread across his face as he watched the sunrise paint the sky. The gentle light touched his face and he whispered to himself, "I made it." It wasn't a declaration of wealth or fame. It was a recognition of becoming better. He remembered the beginning of this journey, feeling lost, exhausted, and utterly confused. He had no plan, no purpose, no belief in himself. But 6 months of unwavering discipline had changed everything. He learned to wake up with focus, to face problems with a calm mind, and to be the master of his own emotions. He was no longer searching for motivation. He had become the motivation. Later that day, Alex sat with his old notebook, the very one that sparked this transformation. Its pages were a testament to his struggle and his victory, filled with notes, quotes, thoughts, and even the faint stains of tears. He turned to the first page and smiled at his own handwriting. 6 months from now and a new me. He whispered, "You kept your promise." Then, on the very last page, he wrote one final powerful line. Discipline, consistency, and faith. These 3 changed my life. In the past, Alex had only dreamed of a better life. Now, he was living it. He found a new purpose in mentoring young people, creating motivational content, and helping others who felt as lost as he once did. During one session, a young student asked him, "Alex, how did you transform so much in just 6 months?" Alex smiled, his voice soft but firm. "I stopped waiting for someone to save me. I decided to save myself." A profound silence filled the room. Those words landed, touching the hearts of everyone present. That night, walking home under the vast, starry sky, Alex reflected on his biggest lessons. Life doesn't reward wishes. It rewards work. Dreams don't come true through luck, they come true through discipline. And change doesn't happen in a single day. It happens daily, with every small choice you make. He looked up and felt a surge of gratitude. "Thank you," he said quietly. "You didn't give me an easier life. You made me stronger." Once home, he decided to record one last video for his followers. He spoke with a newfound calm and confidence. 6 months ago, I was lost. I had no plan, no confidence, no energy. But I made a promise to myself. I gave myself 6 months. 6 months of honesty, hard work, and belief. And now my message for you is simple. Give yourself the same 6 months. No distractions. No excuses. Just pure, unwavering commitment. You will be absolutely shocked by who you can become. He smiled and ended the video. Later, he caught his reflection in the mirror, the same mirror where he once saw a defeated man. Now, he saw peace in his eyes. He saw strength in his smile, and he said quietly, "This isn't the end. This is just the beginning." As he placed the notebook on his desk, he knew it was more than just paper. It was proof that one simple decision has the power to change an entire life. As he turned off the light, one final thought echoed in his heart. Anyone can transform their life, if they truly decide to. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content to help you on your own journey. See you in the next one.